Good morning. It's the Charles Van Morgan Show. Broadcasting live in the morning today, but we may pop up anytime. We got a great show for you today. Come on in, come on in. Thank you. It is Monday morning, so we're going to talk about shaping the definitions of crime. From a sociological perspective, we're going to tell you about crime, what it is. Maybe it is a sociological construct. And we're going to talk a little bit about crime. So who controls the narrative? What's criminal and what's not criminal? So we think about crime as agreed on deviance that we can't tolerate in a civilized society. That's what the common thinking is. But is that reality? Is that the truth? Is that what crime is? Or does it represent the interest of people in power and have little to nothing to do with harmful to society? So we're going to discuss that from a criminology point of view. I'm Charles Van Morgan. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. I have a Master of Arts in criminology. So I'm going to give you some things to think about that you may or may not have thought about. Some reality, some shocking truth that will rock your world about what's going on, about the organization of the system. Is it really organized right? And it doesn't matter what country you live in. It's the same way all over the world. So we're going to talk about shaping definitions of crime from a sociological criminology perspective. Charles Van Morgan Show in the morning. Got a great show for you today. A great show. And we're going to open your eyes about a few things. Maybe you already know. And we're going to discuss crime, and we're going to discuss power, what it's really all about. I know what they tell you, but they lie. They don't tell you the truth about stuff. They don't tell you the truth about crime. It's a social construct. Let me turn this around. It's not what you think it is. It is absolutely not what you think it is. So look at the beautiful view. So we're down here at the Henley Street Bridge, Charles Van Morgan Show. We're going to talk about shaping definitions of crime. So crime is supposed to be what is harmful to society. And we label things that are harmful to society as crimes, make them criminal, and we arrest people and charge them with crimes when we catch them doing those things that are harmful to society. That's what the people think. That's what the consensus is. That's what the perception is. But that's not true. It's a dirty lie from people at the crooked courthouse over here. So, crime is a social construct. It's made up to support people in power, to criminalize you and decriminalize, to make what they do that's harmful to society legitimate. And I can explain that. So, you think about serious crimes that we all agree on, that we think we all agree on, like murder. That's harmful to society. We criminalize murder. But murder is relative. It's relative. It's not always murder. When somebody kills somebody, it's not always a crime. It's not. Murder, if you think about it, depends on the success or the lack of success of the revolution. I mean, if a revolutionary army or military or group assassinates and I'm not saying to do this, I'm just saying from a sociological perspective, these are the facts as laid down throughout history. Crime is not what's harmful to society all the time, and what is not harmful to society. Let me turn my light here. Crime is a social construct. Like a revolution, if a revolution is successful and a leader of a country is assassinated throughout history, and I'm not saying to do this peaceful, but I'm just telling you from a sociological criminology perspective that crime is not always what you think it is, because throughout history, if a revolution has been successful, the person's not tried for murder. It's not a crime. They're a hero. If they are not successful and the revolution is not successful throughout history, crime, then they're a criminal. They're tried for murder, probably executed. So even a crime that most of us consider in society, and I do consider it, don't murder, in our world is relative according to the circumstance. So that's a astonishing phenomenon. But the people in power shape the definition of crime. They make what they do not a crime, even if it's harmful, even if it's harmful to society. And they make what you do a crime sometimes, even if it's not, to control you. They shape, people in power shape and frame the definition of crime. It doesn't always have to do with what's harmful to society or what is not. That applies for nations worldwide. And in this show today, got a great show. Come on board. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We're going to talk about crime and how it's defined and who controls it and why. And we're going to talk about power. People in power control what's called a crime and what's not called a crime. We're going to go over that today. So we're down here at the bridge. We already came down here, got an early morning start Monday morning, and hope y'all will join us. We're at 900,000 viewers. We're coming up on 1 million viewers. So thank y'all so very much. I'm Charles Van Morgan. I'm available for public speaking. If you all somebody wants to let me give my testimony at your church, I'm a Christian, or if you want me to speak at your local tavern, hey, I'll be glad to speak there too about crime, criminology, what I have a Master of Arts degree in about voters of Tennessee enraged, or voters of truth enraged. I also have a book for sale. It's called The Former Trooper Charles Van Morgan Story, A Fight to Save Lives and Correct the Record. If you want a book, it is $149 if you want an electronic copy. If you want a signed copy, then it's a little more, because I'm not printing a book until I already got it written, but I'm not printing a book until I get somebody that wants to buy them. So, and I'll sign a copy and mail it to you. It's a little bit more than $149. So if you want the book, just charlesvanmorgan@gmail.com. Email me and request it, book request. And thank you all for listening. We got an awesome show for you today. Worked on it all day for the past 2 days. Think about an interesting topic. Some stuff that should really blow your mind. The way you think about the world and the people in power, how they organize things. And it's really interesting. You know, when I went to graduate school and studied sociology, it changed my whole mind about how I thought about justice and injustice, and how the system doesn't work for the common man. It doesn't work for you, and what we can do about it. So we're going to discuss that today. We're going to talk about crime. Now, the evolving shaping the definitions of crime. People in power shape the definition of crime. And crime is, remember the acronym, context. Now, what is a crime depends on the context. What is a crime in one place, in one circumstance, may not be a crime in another circumstance. A lot of people in government power commit crimes. There's brutal police killings with no explanation for it, and they call them justifiable homicides. So it's context. If you're working for the government, you're allowed a free ride. So there's context to crime. Context is like what they did to me. And remember the word crime. We're going to cover who controls crime. Context is like what they did to me when I was in government service, and they wanted to get rid of me. They even shaped the definition of criminal laws. So so many people got in here. Like, share, comment, and listen and enjoy the show. Got a lot of stuff that will really be very interesting to you from a sociological perspective. Maybe the way you think about things is not the real way it is. Sociology is how outside forces affect us, why things are going on, what's really happening, what's causing them. If you think that people in power are moral and just, and that everything's handled by the up and up, then I'm about to enlighten you just a little bit how crooked these dirtbags are, how crooked these thieves are. So we're speaking truth to power. You won't hear this anywhere else but on the Charles Van Morgan Show. So let's see how many people we got in here. Just a few. So yeah, like, share, comment. So let's talk about the concept of crime. Who shapes the definition of crime? People in power shape the definition of crime. Context. So like they did to me. Now they took what I said out of context, took about 3 or 4 words out of context that I said I was trying to put on the show, wasn't trying to save somebody's life, in a surreptitious recording, played it all over the news, all over the world, trying to frame me and say that I did something wrong because I said that I was just trying to put on a show, and took that out of context. They didn't put the rest in there. When they took my job, they didn't put the rest in there about what I said, that I didn't see the wreck. That was the whole case was about. I didn't see it. It looked like a parked car. They didn't put that in there, and I didn't even know they was recording me. And the context of that was, it was at the highway patrol post. I wasn't swearing to anything under oath. I wasn't fully explaining. I wasn't told that it was being recorded and it would be played nationwide. And the truth is, what I said in the context between officers' shop talk is perfectly legitimate and reasonable. It's not something bad. It's not. It's perfectly legitimate. You do have to put on a show. If you know someone's dead, you have to put on a show to show people that, hey, you're at least trying, because you don't know, and that's just a way to phrase it. So they put that out to try to put me in a bad light, to try to defame me, but they didn't put the whole narrative that I said out. And maybe someday I'll play it for you. I got it on recording exactly what I said. They just took about 3 words, took them out of context, put them on the news media, somebody that hated me, that's now a dirty major, and put it all over the news media. So that's context. That wasn't said under oath, was shop talk. Shop talk in law enforcement, there's a lot of shop talk, things you wouldn't want out on the media. You would want a chance to explain and put it, and a chance to, you would want a chance to know what was going on if you were going to have something put out in the media. Not something that was, not something that's put out surreptitiously, where you have no clue that 3 words are going to be taken out of a whole 20-minute, 30-minute discussion that other people said things that they could have took 3 words. So see, stuff was taken out of context, because what I said was, and I stand behind it, you do have to put on the show. If you're in a law enforcement function, and people die under law enforcement functions all the time. People die in the backseat of patrol cars. People die in pursuits. People die around police. People die all the time. They die all the time. And let me say something alarming. Let me tell you something alarming. People die. Everybody's going to die. You're going to die. I'm going to die. People die when they're around police. They die when they're not around police. So that's nothing alarming. People die in church. People die all over the place. So if you're a human being out in the public, people are going to die around you. So it is inflammatory for them to insinuate that somehow you being where you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing is somehow responsible for somebody else's death. That's just totally horrific. They rely on emotion. So if you're in law enforcement, you're responsible for people's lives. So if somebody dies around you, you're not a doctor. You don't know that they're dead, but you can get a good sense if they're not moving. But you still have to put on a show. You still have to show people, hey, I don't know if they're dead. I think they are. You can think that in your mind, but you have to put on a show. You have to call an ambulance. You have to call the fire department. You have to do what you can do to show that if they are alive, you're doing your job. You're a police officer. You're more responsible than somebody sitting in a church pew beside somebody that died. You have to show that, hey, you got up, tried to administer aid, tried to do what you could do. You have to put on a show, so to speak. Even if you know that they're probably dead, you have to put on a show. But see, that was taken out of context. It was taken out of context. What I said is perfectly reasonable. That's what police officers do all the time. They show people for civil liability reasons because they're responsible that, hey, I'm doing what I can do. Regardless of the obvious facts, I'm supposed to save people's lives, do the best I can, and I don't know for sure. So that was absolutely appropriate what I said. It wasn't out to the media. I didn't have a chance to explain, and only those 3 words. So that was in context. What I said in context was perfectly legitimate. I stand by it. You do have to put on the show. Officers know that. If you shoot somebody and you fire a bunch of rounds in them because they're trying to kill a child, then you have to call an ambulance. You really don't want to, maybe because they've tried to kill a kid or something, but you have to put on a show. You have to call an ambulance, so to speak, in framing. Now, you wouldn't use those words if you knew it was on the radio, if you knew it was going to be put all over the place. But somebody trying to frame you surreptitiously to get anything you say, like Major Stacey Heather, to put that out in the public, then that's what they would do. But they didn't put out the whole conversation. And even Danny Thomas said that people think it's a fairy world, and see, they weren't trying to take his job, even though he's a fairy in himself. I can't stand that man, so fake. But and I didn't know they were recording that. So that's context. That's part of crime. It depends on the context that you're in, whether or not it's considered a civil wrong or considered a criminal wrong. Now, as opposed to what people in state power did. Now, they took something I said out of context that makes perfect sense, because in training, they had a supervisor, a lieutenant over the firing range, in training that said that if you can't take a gun and put it to somebody's head and pull the trigger, you need to get out of here. You don't need to be a trooper. You don't need to be a police officer. If you can't put a gun to somebody's head and pull the trigger. That's what they literally trained us. That you have to be able to take somebody's life in appropriate circumstances. Now, in context, that makes sense. But do they want that out to the public? I mean, I could have recorded that and put that out to the public, that a lieutenant that the firing range wants us to kill somebody. No, but in context, it makes sense. There are situations where you have to use force that could cause death, and if you can't do that, you don't need to be a police officer because you're not protecting other people's lives. But in context, that makes perfect sense. But exactly what he said is pretty horrific. It's pretty demeaning. But I wouldn't put that out in public. See, they don't want you to put out what they say, because it out of context, and they won't let you record them. But see, they put out stuff, shop talk, me trying to defame me, trying to discredit me, but what they did, okay, that was stuff out of context. That was perfectly understandable. You have to put on the show. You do. I'm not taking that back. You do. Now, would I explain it to the public if I knew it was on the radio and not use that terminology? Yeah, but that was a secret, surreptitious recording of somebody trying to frame me, of somebody that hated me, somebody that I'd made a legitimate complaint against a friend. That's what they did. And they do that all the time. It's shop talk. It's nothing unreal or nothing even wrong. And you look at what they did. What I did, I wasn't swearing to oath about that. I didn't swear under oath about that. Every time I didn't make any swears or any guarantees or any. I swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. Or wasn't even careful about what I was saying. You know, just talking to supervisors who were acting like, you know, they had my back, that they were going to do the right thing, that they were on my team. They were acting like that. And look at what they did. They put that out all over the news media to defame me, to act like I'd done something wrong. Horrifically, my children had to hear that. A major said, "I got him now." But look what she did. Look what she did. She raised her hand to, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. She knew what she was saying. She knew what she was doing. Members of the Highway Patrol swore under oath that they would tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. So look at the context. The context with me was truthful, something taken out of context, blown up like I was some kind of evil person, when I saved more lives than anybody in the Highway Patrol did. And then what they did, knowing that they were committing a crime, a criminal act, I swear and tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. And then they lied. It wasn't surreptitious. They knew it was being recorded. They knew it was under oath. They lied. So crime is context. You do nothing wrong, and they'll make it look like you've done something wrong. They'll make it appear that way by taking stuff out of context, by twisting stuff in their sick, dirty minds and making it appear like you've done something wrong. A cheap shot. They're cheap shot artists. And they knew good and well what I said wasn't wrong. What about Danny Thomas saying that people live in a fairy world? Danny Thomas, you live in a fairy world, and I'm still out here, you low-life son of a you-know-what. Convince me to be on your shift, and then you pull that stuff. Hope you're enjoying your retirement, old man. Danny Thomas, remember that creep. Remember that creep thinks that, hey, I don't live in a fairy world, I live in the real world. You live in a fairy world if you thought I would shut my mouth about your nasty self and your nasty THPP. You're afraid of them. I wasn't running from anybody. You don't have to be afraid of me by violence, but I'll tell the truth about you, nasty man. He ought to be investigated for some of the crimes he admitted to me, criminal acts he admitted to me while he was a trooper. I couldn't say nothing about it. They wouldn't have listened to me. But he admitted to beating people up. Fat old smoking man. You know, but talking about the crimes they committed and then trying to get me to talk about crimes. And I didn't even talk about any crimes I committed. It's not a crime to be putting on a show, showing the public that you will do that you're doing what you can even when you didn't, which wasn't even I was trying to do what I could do. That was a hindsight statement made over a month after the incident with me talking to supervisors, not knowing that Miss Stacy Heatherly, the creep crook that she is, the drunken sot that's all the way still in valor at the top of THPP, and the governor knows she's committing power. That's who controls what crime is. So THPP officers swore to tell the truth under oath, knowing they were lying, and committed perjury, an act of perjury, blatant perjury, lying about significant stuff under oath that influenced the outcome of the case. And even when we objected to it in a courtroom, the judge took their side and told us we couldn't question them about their perjury. Wow. And then the judge added more stuff that wasn't even true. So crime is a social construct made by people in power to keep them in power and to get whatever they want done, whether it's legitimate or not. That's what crime is. So crime is relative. R stands for relative. It depends on where you're at. It depends on where you're at. There's crimes in some states that are legal, crimes in other states that are not. And it's relative. It's also relative in the fact that it depends on who your daddy is, who you're related to. If you are related to somebody in the Highway Patrol, somebody's your daddy, or you're backing up the system, then it's not a crime. It's not a crime. If you ever wonder why they hang out some officers and don't hang out other ones, then look at who's their daddy. Look at their name. So I'm trying to get away from this homeless person. They start to cross the street. They start to go to the other side. They start walking to the other side. So yeah, let's see here. So yeah, that way I won't have to defend myself. But so crime is relative. Depends on who you are. Depends on where you're at. And so let's see how many people got in here. We'll keep talking about crime. It's not what you think. It's entirely something else, controlled by power. Doesn't have a lot to do with what's harmful to society. Doesn't have a lot to do with what's harmful to you, because they're more harmful to you than criminals are, and they don't label themselves criminals. So we'll keep talking about crime. So many people we got in here. Thank y'all for joining the show. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. So yeah, we got a bunch of people in here. So thank y'all so very much. So C stands for context, R stands for relative, and I stands for interest. So they have special interest groups that lobby the legislature, and that tell them, influence them with power and money, that tell them what to make criminal and what to not make criminal according to laws. And laws are bought and paid for. They're not about what protects society the best or what don't protect society the best. It's controlled by special interest groups. They lobby the legislature with money and power, so the rich people and powerful people get to decide what's a crime and what's not. And they decide that the less banking regulations and the things that make them more money and don't protect you are not crimes. That's why we had to have the massive bailout in 2008, and because of lack of regulation. The stuff they do that commit crimes that make them wealthy is not a crime. So and also M is for morals. A lot of crimes are depending on whose moral values that we're following. Back years ago, it used to be a crime to be homosexual, and now, according to our state constitution, they can't make that a crime. So in the Prohibition days, drinking was a crime, and now Prohibition's over. So the moral value is that it's socially acceptable to drink alcohol. So crime depends on moral values. There's a shaping definition of crime. It's not cut and dried in stone. It depends on who's on the throne in power at the time. They make their behavior that hurts society completely legitimate. They allege it's legitimate when it's not. They make it appear legitimate, and they make the conduct that you do criminal or civilly wrong even when it's not. Crime is about who's in power. It's a social construct constructed by Bill Haslam, by Bill Lee, to keep you under control and keep them in power. That's what crime is. And E is is the evolving definitions of crime. Over time, depending on who's in power, it changes. If a prominent Democrat gets in office, you'll see a different definition of what some of the things crime is. Back when Democrats were in power, they gave illegal aliens a driver's license. They gave them a Tennessee driver's license where they went and took a test. They weren't supposed to be here, and they could get legally drive, although they were not here. That was under the so now they can't get a driver's license. So the definition has changed depending on who's in power. So crime depends on who's in power. It's not about what harms society or what don't harm society. So even murder is subject to definition. It depends on the most harmful crime. Everybody agrees on murder. There's a lot of crimes that we don't agree on that could be or could not be, like euthanasia, like abortion, like whether to legalize marijuana. There's a lot of crimes that we're still debating about, but there are some crimes that are not debatable, that everybody'd say, hey, everybody thinks that, hey, that's a crime. That's not, you shouldn't do that. That's wrong. But are they not depending on who's in power? I mean, you look at the crime of murder, and that depends on if you're a revolutionary and you kill a opponent in a government in a country, and you take control and the revolution wins, you're not a murderer, you're a hero. So you could be a hero, that's a murderer, because the definition is shaped by who's in power, even murder. I mean, isn't that astonishing? That you could literally kill somebody, murder somebody in cold blood. And I'm not saying to do that, don't do that, because I'm going to talk about a supreme power. If you murdered somebody, you could be a hero, depending on the success of your revolution. If it's not successful, you're a murderer. So even the most harmful crime we classify in this world is relative, depending on who's got the levers of power. Right now, the levers of power are in some bad people's hands. Mark it down, write it on your calendar, not to murder these people, to go vote, voters of truth and rage, because there is a moral value to human life. Do not murder. I don't care if it does give you the revolution. There's only reasons to murder or none. Now there's self-defense. That's not murder. That's defending yourself using the force necessary, and if it results in murder, if it results in death, it's not murder. That's not the same thing. Or defending your country. Defending your country is not murder. That's self-defense. That's defense of your country. If you don't defend your country and use what could be lethal force against oppositions, then you're causing people in your country to murder. There is one law that is supreme above all laws. And in God's holy word, it says, thou shalt not kill. That's supreme law. And I assure you, if you murder somebody, in this world, you might be branded a hero depending on the revolution, and depending on the circumstances, it may or may not be murder, but it very well may be. But God is the judge, and God knows right and wrong, and God says, thou shalt not kill. So killing is wrong. That is supreme law. Don't do that. But that's God's law. That's in the next world. Now you may be judged in this world for murder, and you may not be. But the people in power are the ones that decide whether or not it's a crime of murder, or whether or not it's not. So even the most serious crime doesn't have anything to do with the harmful to society. It has to do with who's in the levers of control in the government. It's a social construct decided by government. So that's crime. Let's see how many people we got in here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the crime. It's who's in power. So let's talk about power. Power controls what crime is, not its benefit or protection of society. People in power decide what crime is. Crime is a construct to keep people in power. It's not about your safety. Even here in Knoxville, Tennessee, the crime is not about your safety. It's about who's in power decides what's crime or not. I guarantee you the mayor doing the same thing that I do I'd be considered a criminal for doing something peaceful and speaking out, where she could do pretty much whatever she wants to because she's in power. Doesn't have a lot to do with crime to protect people. That is a myth, that crime is to protect society. That's what they tell you. That's a lie. It's not true. It's designed to keep them in power and keep you under subjection, under their control. There is a thinking in criminology that says that the imprison rate, if you keep the crime rate constant, has little to do with the crime rate. You would think that the prison population goes up when there's more crime, more people put in jail, goes down when there's less crime, less prisoners. But holding the crime rate constant, meaning even in times when there's less crime, what explains the high prison rate. So keeping that constant, for allowing for all times, the reason for the increase or decrease in the crime rate is not crime. It's not about people doing things harmful to society. It is about whether or not the government, people in power, have jobs for you to do. When there's jobs for you to do, they let you out of prison. They let you out of prison to do the jobs. And then when there's not jobs that they want you to do, they don't need you out of jail working for them, then they put you in prison to control you. So crime, according to a well-known sociological thought, is about control of the mass populace. It's about control of us. It has little to nothing to do with safety and protection and what is deviant and harmful to society, because they do things that are much more harmful to society, people in government power, than whatever one citizen could ever do. So that's crime. It's a social construct orchestrated by people in power, designed to keep them legitimate, keep them in power, keep them getting your money, keep them control over you, and criminalizing you if you go against their power. So let's look at power. That's who has control of the crime apparatus. It's people in power. How they control the crime, how they control the legitimacy of crime, is P stands for perception. They control the perception, the narrative of what's crime and what's not. They control the news media. You look at an officer that just a few days ago, somebody had a rock and he shot him and killed him. And here on a popular news show, he was charged by the district attorney, somebody in power, and they've charged him with murder. They've went through his record and saying he's been at several departments and controlling the narrative. They said he didn't get along with the Oak Ridge Police Department. So they're running him down in the news media because he shot somebody with a deadly weapon, because they've elected to call him a criminal, when under a different context, under a different prosecutor, he wouldn't have been a criminal. It would have been justified homicide. But they have elected to classify him a criminal. And like one of the things they said, and you can look at this stuff, it don't take a genius to figure some of this stuff out. They said he didn't get along with Chattanooga Police, with Oak Ridge Police Department. He went from department to department. They're trying to say that officers that aren't no good go from department to department. Maybe officers that go from department to department go from department to department because the departments that they leave weren't good departments, weren't honest people. And they didn't want to go along with a corrupt department. I mean, have you ever thought about that? I challenge you to think the opposite of what you think, of what you're taught. Look at it from the exact opposite perspective, and I don't think that way, but consider it. Consider what they tell you and think about the opposite of it. Because they're trying to tell you something that keeps them in power. What I'm trying to tell you is something that will take away from their power and give it to you. Because they'll tell you if you're a criminal and tell the whole public if you're a criminal when you're not. They'll say they didn't do anything wrong to you when they did. So if you want to go along with that, go ahead. That's what they do. And then people like me that stand up to power, that call it out for what it is, crooked as hell, damaging to you as hell. These people are rogue as hell. They're more dangerous to you than you can imagine. As bad as you think it is, it's 10 times worse. They try to defame us. They will put us down, say we did stuff we didn't do, arrest us with criminal bogus charges that they could never get through a court system. Because we stand up against them, we're calling the truth out. We're shining a light on what they're doing. So they try to put that light out. They try to shut us up. Try to say, don't listen to him. He did this or he did that. Well, none of it is true. None of it is true. It's absolutely not true. Don't look at the surface, read between the lines. So that's what they do. They delegitimize me and people that run against them. So the people that you see, they're really hammering bad. What do we got on them? What are we saying? Those are the people you need to listen to. The people that are agreeing with, they're feeding you a line of propaganda that's false. The people that are disagreeing with them and explaining to you why I disagree with them from an educated sociological criminology perspective. I have a Master of Arts in criminology. When I'm explaining to you fact-based why I disagree with them and what they're doing is criminal and wrong, that I'm not a criminal, they are, then listen to me. Because they leave some steps out to get to where they're going. If you listen to their narrative, they start from 1 and go to 50. They start from 1, he did this, and they don't tell you what's in between. They just say somebody's dead, 50. They tell you stuff based on emotion. I'll tell you stuff based on facts, based on science, based on knowledge. What they're trying to tell you is a dirty lie. The government is not legitimate in the state of Tennessee. It is not. It is against you. It's designed to keep people in power, and designed to keep you working so you can pay for their lazy asses. That's what this government is for. That's what they do. It's not broke. People say the government's broke. It's not broke. It's working like a well-oiled machine for them. They lie. We need to get it back through voting. So this police officer, they had to shoot somebody, I believe, because they were a threat to his life. They're calling him a murderer. And framing it that way, the news channel saying that he didn't get along, he left all these departments. The people that stay at these departments and retire, a lot of them have been allowed to retire, and then they go on to work for another agency because they have backed up, lied, and kept secrets for agencies that are dirty as hell. That's why they got rid of me with Highway Patrol, because I wouldn't go along with their dirty as hell. And they wanted to attack me, so I fight back. The officers they get rid of, unless they've got some facts against you that make sense. I mean, I was out trying to arrest a drunk driver, and they claim that I did something wrong. Yeah, they did something wrong. They took the leading trooper off the road that made more drunk driving arrests, more life-saving arrests than anybody in the state, according to their own damn standards today, and they know it. And so they said the policemen that retire, a lot of them are the ones that have covered up wrong, and then they go to work for another agency after they've retired, because the other agency knows, hey, he'll back up the establishment. The ones that have gotten fired sometimes, the ones that have gotten mistreated, are the ones that tell the truth a lot of times. Think exactly opposite of what they're telling you. So they say Ray Fairclough didn't get along with the departments, he didn't get along with Chattanooga, or he didn't get along with Oak Ridge Police Department. Oak Ridge Police Department was the same department that was out taking pictures of women's feet. And nobody would have known except for an attorney investigated that. So they don't have Ray Fairclough taking pictures of women's feet on a traffic stop. Maybe he didn't get rid of them because the Oak Ridge Police Department's full of baloney, not a good department to work for. They weren't good people. But they don't tell you that on Channel 10. They go after a narrative, a story that they want to tell you to say this is murder or this is not. It's a social construct. Doesn't have anything to do with whether or not Ray Farrakhan killed somebody or not. Doesn't have anything to do with that. See, they're trying to destroy his reputation to make you think that he just murdered somebody. And that's what they do to people. They put stuff in there that has nothing to do with the crime of murder. Murder is not self-defense. The man had a rock. And if you think about it, they're not talking about the Knox County Sheriff's deputy that got hit in the head and still has needing surgery from somebody hitting him in the head with a rock. They didn't put that on that news show that they ran Ray Farrakhan down. They just ran him down to dirt, trying to act like he's guilty of murder, because murder is a social construct depending on who wants to define it that way. And the people in power have decided to define Ray Farrakhan a murder and trying to sell it to the public where a good police officer will go to jail. And when you get out and defend yourself, they'll do the same damn thing to you. And if they kill you, they'll justify it. So watch out who you believe. And I'm telling you right now, you can't believe a damn word people in power say right now. They're dirty as hell. They're dirty as hell. They're not just corrupt people. You can't get a fair hearing in a Tennessee courtroom. You'll get railroaded. You'll get a dirty lie. You'll get one of their attorneys that's controlled 100% by them. You won't get somebody like me, somebody that graduated from law school, passed the bar, that would stand up for your rights. You'll get somebody, a double agent that will defend them. They won't defend you. They don't care about you. They care about getting your money and getting you under control. And unless you do everything they tell you exactly the way they tell you to, they'll put you in a box and throw away the damn key. That's what they'll do to you. That's what people in government power in this city, in this state, do right now under Charmin Tissue Allen. She's a crook. She's a dirty district attorney. And I got a right to say that. Let's see if they try to do something to me. I bet they probably will. So that's the people in power. That's what they do. Like, share, comment. And let me see if I can read some of the comments. And we'll continue with the power acronym and talk about some of this stuff. So, Ban Rocks. Yeah, Cape Town was up. Lived there 10 years, met my ex-wife there, terrible woman. Yeah, aliens are coming. Yeah, you listen to some of them stupid politicians that have hearings on Capitol Hill about illegal aliens instead of taking care of stuff like people going hungry and stuff we need to do, like Representative Burchett. There's no aliens coming. I remember when Junior would come by the house. I never heard a song about the firemen. Let's see here. Have a good day. Have a good day, Bishop 472. And James Osborner said hi. Hello. Miller Williams said hi. Hello. Hey, man, I researched the accident you lost your job over, and I don't agree with him running, but I believe that you saw him as you passed him. Well, I'd like to know how you believe that in your little sick mind. Put that on somebody. I mean, did I get a cookie and a ribbon for that? I mean, what would be my motive for doing that? I had every reason not to. And I save people in cars. So Mr. J. Sharp standing behind a stupid-ass computer and putting out falsehood, trying to shape a definition of something. If I did do that, why didn't they charge me with a crime? So you'd be wrong, and for you to say you know what somebody else saw, that's psychotic. That's what the dirty man in power said. That's psychotic, that you know what somebody else saw. Really? Oh my gosh, you're such a powerful, wonderful man. You're a sick man. Because what I saw is what I testified to under oath, is I saw the tail end of the car that didn't look like it was wrecked. That's the truth. So you're a sick man, Mr. Sharp. I was out defending even your life, and for you to do that, you're a sicko. And I'm down here on the bridge if you want to come down here, and you think I was running somebody, sicko, man. I didn't see him and pass him. I was trying to pursue him. Now, see what they're trying to do is, like it happens every day. It happens every day in football, and this is what the standard they're trying to hold me to. This sicko man, this sick man, J.S. Sharp, 1776. What a sick man, out protecting his life too. this is standard trying to hold me to. I'm out protecting people's lives and seeing the tail end of the car and keep going, trying to find the person that was a danger to himself and others. And I didn't get him drunk. I was trying to protect society. Didn't do anything wrong. And people like that reframing it because I drove past a wreck that was not seeable according to expert testimony. But see, that's sick. People want to put sick stuff on that. Nope. People like that will put murder on you and whatever. That's the problem. That's the problem. These sick people. And reframe stuff that doesn't even make sense. I mean, I can explain exactly what makes sense. It was in the dark. You know, anybody think about dark? It was under a tree. The only part I seen was tail end. So no, that's not true. You're a sick man. And risked my life even approached the car when it was burning. So you're a sicko. And they do this every day. They do this every day in football games. A referee will call something on the field, and then they'll call for an instant replay, and they'll look at a video and see things differently on the video that the referee couldn't see in real time. Is that because the referee did something wrong? No. See, every time you watch a replay, instant replay on television, and they call something different than the referee, or even verify what the referee said based on slowing a video camera. You remember Charles Van Morgan. They held me accountable to what they could slow down frame by frame and see something later that is impossible to see in real time. And there is no way, it's impossible, and I'm glad you think you're God, because you're not, that you can know what somebody else knows or thinks. You can't do that. So on the side of a referee miscalling a call, I know that referee tried to make a bad call. You can't know that. And I can tell you the truth. No, I didn't know that. I'll tell you what I knew. I thought he was on down the road. So you're a dirty lie. Get on my page and put out that garbage, that framing trash. You're a piece of trash is what you are. You're part of the problem. And so I'm talking to people that want to believe the truth. And thank you for helping out my algorithm. YouTube doesn't know that you're making a comment that's sick and twisted. All YouTube knows is that you're making a comment, that I'm getting a lot of comments, and it spreads my message. So thank you, idiot, for your stupidity. So you're a great person. Stay on here. Keep posting lies. I want you to. It helps me get the real message out, because what I'm saying is the truth. So power, people in power control crime, control what the definition of crime is. And you can look up whatever you want to. That's what they say. That's how they frame the narrative. They frame the narrative. They tell the TV station what to say. They tell the judges what to say, and they frame the narrative. So if you think I'm a toy, anybody think I'm a toy? Now you don't see me hurting, and you see what happens. So if you think I'm a toy and you want to get after me, I'm not going anywhere. You might. So I mean, I'm just telling you. Bad data, I would let it rest if I was you, because it won't work out well for you. Okay, you got that? So things are working out really well for me. So God put me in the fight. So power is they control the perception. They control how things are framed. In that particular pursuit, I turned on my emergency equipment before I even turned around, because it's state law. Warning everybody else, hey, this guy's dangerous. I mean, he could have killed somebody else. And what kind of sick people want to make a hero out of somebody that ended their life that way? That's not a hero. Patrick Fitzgibbon's a hero. I was a hero, risking my life for public safety. Could have been killed. 4 officers were killed that same year doing the same thing I was doing. I was a hero. They framed it differently. They've lied about stuff. But the truth has weight and value. It don't go away because powerful people lie about it. It doesn't go away. It's still a crime. It's still wrong what they did. 13 years is still a crime that they did. It's still wrong. And they'll still pay for it someday, I believe, on the face of this planet. I think they already have. You know, God works in mysterious ways, and they might pay some more. There's some more cars and trucks that can hit people that take the leading DUI arrester off the road. That's stupid for yourself, idiots. So they frame what people think. They have the perception. They frame the perception through the news media, and they own the power. They silence opposition. That's what O stands for. Opposition is silence. And the way they do that is at their courthouses. These dirty judges write lies in opinions. Tennessee judges do this. They write lies in their opinions and give lies legitimacy of the truth. Like today, they could have a judge adjudicate that this is Thursday afternoon. He'd write that in this right now. It's Monday morning, and they could adjudicate in their ruling it is Thursday afternoon. And this is Charles Van Morgan's on the bridge on Thursday afternoon. And they write that in an opinion, put it out in the press, and everybody all over the world thinks that, hey, well, the judge adjudicated that. It gives it the legitimacy, the appearance of the truth, although that's not the truth. That's a lie. So they control the narrative by the news media, and they shut silent people down by controlling the narrative with their false judicial opinions. In the state of Tennessee, you can't hardly read an honest judge's opinion. It's full of dirty lies. And if they can't get you right based on the facts that they twist, then they add facts that ain't even in there. They do that. I'm telling you they do that. I know they do that. That's how dangerous the system of injustice is in the state of Tennessee. If you think it's fine, everything's going good, you can trust the government, then you're in the wrong damn place. You're in the wrong place, because you ain't going to hear that, because I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you a lie that you can trust the government, everything's safe, everything's fine, because it's not. It's very horrific. It's getting worse and worse every day. And there's things we can do about it, but they shut up silence. And what they do is, like they did to me, like they're doing to Ray Farrakhan, like they do to a lot of people, like they may have done to you, like they do to you in other countries, is people that go against them, that stand up for public safety, that have saved more lives than anybody in the state of Tennessee. I literally saved somebody in a fiery crash on I-40 at the 386 a few months before a crooked supervisor took over and lied on me. That crooked supervisor broke the law. He went and lied about stuff to somebody that was in grief. What a sick man goes and lies to a man that he just lost his son. What a sick man. What a sick. These people in government power are not just dirty, they're sick people. They're evil people, and God sent a truck. I'm just saying. And he sends bad things happen to people when people pray that for God's protection. God's real. There's God's supreme law. He works on the face of this planet sometimes. So they shut up opposition by their dirty court rulings. Their court rulings are full of lies. They don't have honest court rulings. They don't have honest court rulings, and they lie about stuff. And they don't tell you the truth. And they silence opposition. And we'll put on the show here. When you're live on the ground, you get attention from people. So yeah, we got a little bit of a homeless problem. Here in Knoxville. So they silence opposition. That's people in power. That's how they maintain power. They don't let you say something about you. They delegitimize you. They delegitimize you. And they act like that you did something wrong, so don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. He watched somebody burn to death. That's what they've said. That's an absolute dirty lie. I mean, really? I know I got a camera on and I do all that stuff where I know that people can see if I'm doing something wrong or not. That doesn't even make sense. It's a dirty lie. The people doing the wrong were Tracy Trucks, Crooked Major Heatherly, that's even still in valor to this day that the governor does nothing about. I mean, look at that. So they control the perception through their dirty judges and the news media They silence opposition and discredit you, try to demoralize you, and try to make people not listen to you based on dirty lies. I mean, I've made more drunk driving arrests than any trooper in the state. I've saved people from burning cars and drunk drivers when it's possible to do, and discredit you, and they will do that to you. They'll do it to you. They don't care. They're dangerous to themselves. So, and then they control the narrative in the criminal system because they have wealth. They buy lies to put them as truth. They buy judges. They buy the legal system. They own the legal system. And in this country, justice is supposed to be blind. It's how much money you got, depending on whether you're guilty or innocent. They buy the criminal justice system to brand things criminal that detract from their money and power and do crimes, heinous crimes, destroy reputations, destroy people's lives, incarcerate people for years, and call them crimes when they're not. So crime is a social construct. It's not real. That's what you think that's harmful to you. It's made up by them to maintain power. Has little to nothing to do with public safety. Has little to nothing to do with it. That's the truth. If you don't believe me, then you're entitled to that. I do. That's why I'm recommending voters of truth enraged. So P is for perception. Power controls what is the definition of crime. P is for perception. O is for silence and opposition. W is for wealth. And E is for erosion. They're eroding our rights, and they have people that buy the legislative plaza that lobby to change the laws and make it. Things are getting more and more punitive. So they're eroding our constitutional rights. You know, all the laws that they have in place that they have for us, that they don't have for them. They're eroding the criminal justice system, making more crimes for you, and lying about crimes. They manipulate statistics. They act like seatbelt usage kills a lot of people, and when in reality, it's not seatbelt usage. It is drunken driving. So they erode our constitutional rights by buying the legislature and making things criminal that weren't in the past. I mean, are they taking laws away or adding more on you and not on them? So that's power. And they're taking our rights away. Perception, and they control the opposition, silence opposition, and they control it with wealth, eroding our rights with wolves, and R is what we can do about it. What we can do about they're controlling the narrative of crime is we can rally, like, share, and comment, and we can vote. Voters of Tennessee enraged. We can vote these people out of office. We can stand up against these crooks, and we can look beyond what they're trying to tell us is true, and look what's really true. The people that they're putting people in jail for are not. Some of them, a lot of them, are not criminals. They're framed and branded criminals, and they control crime through their illegitimate power. If you think it's bad, it is 10 times worse than than what you think it is. So let's go over what we've covered. This is Charles Van Morgan Show. Charles Van Morgan, broadcasting live in the morning. Thank you. We got a bunch of people in here. Like, share, comment. Shaping definitions of crime. We call acts crimes when they pose a threat to society, and we label people criminal when we catch them committing these acts, right? I mean, that's what people think. But is that true? Because such definitions are not as instructive as they might seem. They leave a lot of questions unanswered because can we speak of society as if all members are equal, are affected equally by crime? So we call people criminals that adversely affect society, but are all members equally affected by crime? No, they're not. No, they're not. People in the upper echelon of society are protected by your poor people's tax money. The rich get richer and the poor get prison. So people aren't equally protected by crime. The rich people are protected by crime because law enforcement is a mechanism to protect them and keep you in place. So all members of society aren't equally protected by crime. There are studies done where in times of protest, not crime, that more police are hired in metropolitan areas. So the rich are more protected by police than poor people are. There's things you can get by with in West Knoxville, but you don't get by in the poorer parts of town, South or North Knoxville. They police different in West Knoxville than they do in South Knoxville. They have drug dealers and drug addicts in West Knoxville. In the Bellmead and the higher richest parts of Tennessee, they have drug addicts, but they bust the street drug addicts. So people aren't treated equally by crime and aren't protected equally by crime. So it's a social construct. People in power control the narrative of crime. They tell you what's crime, and they commit crimes that they never get arrested or never get in trouble for. So can we easily say what constitutes a threat to society or groups within it? Can we easily say what constitutes a threat? No, we can't easily say what constitutes a threat because they make things legal that are threatening, that benefit the rich, and make things illegal that regular citizens do. Criminalize us even wrongfully when we're not doing anything wrong. And another question we ask about shaping definitions of crime: is breaking the law the only criteria for gaining criminal status? No, you don't have to break the law to gain access to criminal status. You could say that any prosecutor can convict a guilty person. Happens all the time. What they do here is they have great prosecutors, according to them, because a great prosecutor can convict an innocent person. And that's what they do here at the Knox County Courthouse. And a lot of rulings and decisions that they make, they convict innocent people. So they're great prosecutors, right? And they don't get convicted of crimes. If they do get convicted, they get a slap on the wrist, and the criminal act doesn't go on the record. Like you, it'll get stacked. They'll hold it against you in future criminal prosecutions. You don't get it wiped off your record, they get it wiped off their record. The powerful that control crime are treated differently than you. Justice is not blind. A lot of people have heard of Grady Judd, and I'll try to post the video in the comments. He's got a video where he's talking about arresting he says great deputies has arrested, according to him, a dumb criminal. He doesn't say dumb criminal, but he implies that the criminal's dumb. So they're trying to portray the image. Grady Judd is trying to portray the image. Great people in power and dumb criminal citizen, branding him a criminal, even though the guy hasn't even been convicted of the crime that he says he's convicted of. Now, the guy had a warrant on him. That's what Grady Judd said. This is people in power, how they portray what a crime is, and how they portray how you look at criminals, and how they portray how they look at their self, the perception that they want to portray. And I'll just tell you the truth. I used to be in law enforcement. I've got a law degree. I know exactly what he's saying. He's trying to show you a picture of what he wants you to believe, which is not true. I don't buy it. And he said one of his best officers, they're great, they're the best, arrested somebody that should have known stuff. So he's saying he's dumb. Now what he did was, he had warrants on him, and he had previous crimes before, but he had an active warrant on him. And he was pulling a trailer down the road. I'll put the video, and he didn't have a tail light on the trailer. His lights didn't work, he said. So Grady Judd, the sheriff in Florida, I know this is a Florida sheriff, but this is what they try to do all across the United States, said that if you have an active warrant on you, you should, driving down the road, have all your equipment working. That he was a dumb criminal. Why would you drive down the road, have a warrant on you, and not have all your lights working? Because if he had all his lights working, the sheriff's deputy would have had no reason to stop him. So he's saying he's a dumb criminal because he had a warrant on him, and he should have made sure that he didn't do anything wrong. So he's trying to say he's a dumb criminal. He had a warrant, he knew, but how does Grady Judd know that he knew he had a warrant on him? The warrant could be completely frivolous. Somebody falsely accused him of something that he has no knowledge of. The quote, dumb criminal doesn't have access to NCIC. So how does he know that he's got a warrant on him? You say he should know, not necessarily. You're saying he's guilty of something. In this country, don't we say innocent until proven guilty by them? Well, Grady Judd is saying he already did this because he had a warrant on him, so he's guilty. So maybe the sheriff, Grady Judd, needs to go back and study the constitutional law that he's sworn to uphold, because just because you got a warrant on you don't mean you did a damn thing wrong. It means somebody's accusing that. And he's saying that the guy's dumb. He doesn't have access to NCIC. How's he supposed to know he's got a warrant on him? So the sheriff deputy knows he's had a warrant on him because after he stopped him for taillights out, he figured out through NCIC. So he's saying that the criminal is dumb because he doesn't have NCIC. Well, he's just assuming that he knew he had a warrant on him. How does he know he's got a warrant on him? He might not have did anything wrong unless you're assuming that he did something wrong and he knows he did something wrong, which would be a violation of the Constitution if that's what you go on, Grady Judd. So that's not a dumb criminal. He might not do anything wrong. The thing wrong he did was not having lights on his trailer, and that's not a serious crime to call somebody dumb, but you see how they try to portray it. We're dumb and they're brilliant. And we're guilty before we're even brought before trial, and if we don't know we're guilty, we're pretty dumb. That's how they portray it. So breaking the law is not the only criteria for gaining criminal status. You can be accused of a crime. If you're not one of them, you're a dumb criminal, even though you've never been convicted, you don't have access to the NCIC, and they're holding you to a false standard. So, look at what they're saying. Will breaking the law ensure criminal status? Not if you're one of them, it damn sure won't. You can do whatever the hell you want to do if you're one of them almost and get by with it because they've got power. They control the perception and they'll lie. So if you're one of them, no, you don't have criminal status. And even if they do bring you into a courtroom because it's so blatantly obvious it's bad for them to try to justify it, what they will do is they will slap you on the wrist, give you diversion where you can get out of it and it's not even on your record and it goes away and never happened and your life doesn't suffer. Whereas if you didn't even do something wrong, they'll accuse you of it and control the power to make it look like you did. Now that's what these dirtbag people in office do. They're crooked criminals from a sociology perspective. So just because they tell you what to believe, just because they have a court judge rule something, doesn't mean it's true. Look beyond that. You know, we have a president of the United States today that's going after some of these crooked federal judges that write opinions that are crooked as hell, that are based on the judge's power, that are putting crimes on people that shouldn't have been crimes in the first place. We've never had a president in the history of this country that's went after federal judges. They've always been afraid of them. We don't need to be afraid either to challenge authority and question what they're trying to do to us. It's wrong. It's detrimental to your safety, health protection, and well-being. And if you stand up against them, it's detrimental to their crimes against you. Let's see how many people we got in here. We got a few. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's see, we've been on here about. We'll continue this dialogue about how they shape definitions of crime. Now, they call what's crime what they want to call what's crime. And they call you a criminal when you didn't commit a crime. That's what they do. That's why you need to vote. If you think everything's going to be all right, it's not going to be. It's going to get much worse. You give them an inch, and they're taking a mile. There is in sociology, there is a thinking that crime serves a function, that it causes people in power, when they're in power and there's lack of unity, or people in power are being accused of something wrong. So people in power are being challenged for the crimes that they're committing against humanity, for their lack of providing for the general welfare, the public safety. Then what they do is they create a crime wave to divert attention from their corruption. So they love crime. They don't hate it, they love it. Or if there's not crime, they will create a crime wave. They will make one up to try to scare the public and divert attention from their crooked crimes, like the Salem witch hunts. That's what that's about. They were chasing witches, witch hunts, to divert attention from themselves. There is a consensus approach to sociology that says that crime serves that function to galvanize the society together and to help oppose opposition, to reinforce people's beliefs that, hey, this is what we believe and they're doing wrong, let's galvanize together and fight them, or to divert attention from people that are in power. That it helps serve that function. There's another approach to crime, talking about it being a social construct, where it comes from. The only true decipher of crime, of what's wrong and right, morally and harmful to people, is God Almighty. And the crimes are spelled out pretty clearly in the Ten Commandments, that someday you'll answer to Him, and you might answer to Him for those crimes in this world. And one of them is, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not bear false witness, which is what they do. These dirty judges bear false witness. They write it in their opinion. They falsely and give it the legitimacy of truth in their crooked rulings, ruling for the governor. You say they don't do that. They're unbiased. They're not controlled. The governor and governors in these states, in Tennessee, governor promotes judges. Governor Bill Haslam, Governor Bill Lee promote judges at the trial, and they don't even get to be a judge unless they pass their estimation of whether or not you're moral or not, whether or not you have integrity, and whether or not you're honest. And it's not deciding whether or not you're honest, it's deciding whether or not you will back up the legitimacy of their crooked court system. If you want to agree to back up the legitimacy of their crooked court system, or they think that you won't, they think you're going to cause trouble and point out their crimes, then they won't even allow you in the door. They won't let you be a lawyer. So if you're a judge, you have to have been approved by the government anyway. So attorneys are lawyers approved by the government for the government. They're not for you. There's a lot of people defending themselves. They say a person that defends herself has a fool for a client. You know, if you got a Tennessee lawyer, a lot of times you got a fool for a client. You got a fool. You're a fool for hiring an attorney sometimes. I'm not telling you not, but the lawyers are crooked as hell. And the judges are promoted by, they're approved already. You don't even get to be a lawyer unless you're approved by them to back up them. And then if you're a judge, if you don't rule in favor of the governor at the trial level to back up whatever he calls a crime or whatever he wants to do, then he won't promote you to a higher judgeship. The way you get promoted to a higher judgeship is you lie for the governor. You lie for the Christian governor. See, I'm legitimate, I'm a Christian. He actually did a commercial where he walked in a church and said he was a moral person. Wow. That has nothing to do with being immoral. It's not what you say, it's not standing in a church. There's a lot of wickedness goes on in some churches. The church is not bad. Jesus Christ was the only perfect man that lived. But there's a lot of people that it's a facade. It's a facade to try to maintain legitimacy. When you're a dirty, rotten creep that hires somebody that steals valor and promotes them to a high position, he's not a good man. But if you rule for the governor will put you to a higher position. So if you're a trial court judge, you know, hey, if I put people in jail, the governor wants me put in jail, then he'll promote me to appeals court where I can further have more power to facilitate his crookedness. If you get all the way to the Supreme Court, you're really bought and paid for, aren't you? So the judges in Tennessee are about power and control. They have little to do with protection of you, the public. It's protection of their power. They tell you what crime is and what it's not. And you can believe that all you want to. Someday you might be the one behind bars who was railroaded. So the conflict approach says that the criminal justice system and the criminal system and crimes are a resource. If you can control the criminal justice system, you control the elements of force. You control the law, you control police, you control legitimacy. So that's a high power to have, is the control of the criminal justice system. And that's what these people in power do. They bought the criminal justice system. It's not about public safety. It has little or nothing to do with public safety. It has to do with them maintaining power and legitimizing it to say that we are camouflage. We're doing what's good for you. You know, like Jim Jones. We're doing what's good for you. It's not it's not about me. Yeah, it is about them. And the way we know the relatively of criminal definition, who's ever in power depends on what's criminal and what's not. The rate of control of major social institutions in maintaining interest. So they try to control major social institutions like the legislature and our lobbyists in order to maintain control, to get laws in their favor or laws against them. And the definition of law. They're the ones that write the laws, make the laws, tell you what's a criminal and what's not. I mean, they come up with new laws every day. You can't hold a cell phone. You can't talk on the phone. You have to wear your seatbelt. A lot of things under public safety, but they don't have to do those same things. So, influencing legal outcomes, discrediting individuals and groups have a difficult time convincing the public. So, see, I have a difficult time convincing the public that I'm telling the truth, that I am honest and legit, even though I have a associate degree, I have a bachelor's degree in business, and I have a Master of Arts in criminology with emphasis in criminology from the University of Tennessee. I have a doctor of jurisprudence. It's like these dirty judges, except for I'm not dirty. It's like dirty attorneys. I passed the bar exam twice. I led the state in drunk driving arrest. I protected people better than any trooper in the state. And the reason why I'm not with Highway Patrol is I stood up against their crooked, and my last name is not somebody high and powerful in the government. You look at Clemmy Jr. is what I call him. He graduated from the same law school as me. Passed the same bar that I passed twice trying to get my law license. Why is he didn't have any trouble getting his law license. Same law school, same bar, and he is even an appeals court judge. That's a dirty appeals court judge. He rules for the governor. He doesn't rule based on facts and truth. He doesn't look at facts blindly. He looks at the governor. What do you want me to do, governor? And the governor tells you what to do by what the judge below them told him what to do, because they'll back up the dirty judges below them every time, because the higher you go up on the system, the more bought and paid these dirty judges are. Clement Jr. is a bought and paid dirty judge. He ought to be in jail. His dad was a drunk. Clement Sr., same law school, same degree. I can't even get my law license, and he got his law license. You think he got any trouble getting his law license? Because they portray him as a fine man because he backs them up. He's not a fine man. And portray me as somebody that hasn't done right, which is not true. It's absolutely not true. I did more right than they've ever dreamed of doing. I did more right before breakfast than they have in their whole career. They've done a lot of harm to society. So these dirty judges harm society. There's Clement Jr. He's a creep. He's a dirtbag. He advertises for National School of Law. Advertises for people to come to that school. Clement Jr., who's his daddy's a former governor. So it's about people in power telling you what to believe. They tell you, people in power say he's a good person. Clement Jr. is a good man. He's a good man. I got the same education, same everything he's got, except for I got a little more. I protected roads. He protects government power. Got the same degree as him. Why can't I get anywhere? Because they've told you that I'm not an honest person, that I'm not an honest man, because of their rigged court system. That's why. See, here's his degree. Frank Clement Jr., National School of Law. I got the same one. I got the same degree, same education as the judge. I've done better than him. I got more education than him, but his daddy. So people in power have controlled, I'm no good and he's good. Yeah, right. So like, share, comment, contribute if you can. Keep the message going. Voters of Tennessee enraged and courage is what we can do about it. So hit the square icon, like, share, comment, and thank y'all for listening. We're talking about stuff that should blow your mind. You think that crime is to protect you. They design crime. They say it's crime. They say it's criminal if it's dangerous to you. We'll put them in jail, put them in a box to protect you. I'm telling you, from a sociological perspective, that something labeled crime is something to protect their power, to keep them in power, to keep them maintaining resources over you. It's not about protecting society. Even a crime of murder is relative, depending on who wins the power, whether or not what we want to call it crime or not. A revolution, somebody that assassinates somebody in a revolution is a hero if the revolution wins. If they don't, they're a murderer. So even a serious crime is relative according to who's in power. Crime is a social construct of people in power. They control what crime is, what we call it, and who's a criminal. And they've determined that we're criminals, we don't have rights, and that they have all the rights, and that they can harm us and get scot-free with it. That's the way they do in Tennessee government. I'm just telling you the truth. If you don't believe that, go on your merry way. But that's the truth. They are criminals. They are deceitful, dirty rats. I'm shining the light on them, and we need to not be. They're violent. They're violent, dirty creeps. They'd like to kill me right now. What to do about it is to vote, V-O-T-E, Voters of Truth and Rage. Or if you live in Tennessee, Voters of Tennessee Enraged. And after we get in power, we'll be encouraged. So that's what these people do. These are people that control crime. They tell you what's crime and what is not. And look how they get promoted. Wife Chancellor, this is Bill Haslam, promoted him to Tennessee Supreme Court. That's his wife. Wife, Chancery Court, unjust Judge McCoy, dispute facts that truth rule in favor of Haslam, then Governor Page, husband of McCoy, promoted to corrupt Haslam to keep rulings in his favor. Page went on to lie to the people of Tennessee, saying he would be sworn in a few months only to go and have it done immediately. That was to avoid public scrutiny of him and his wife. So she ruled in favor of the governor against me, against the facts, against the law, against the truth, backed up a judge that disallowed their own expert, a judge that allowed a perjurer to testify, a judge that allowed a crime. She ruled in favor of another judge that allowed a crime. Terrell Johnson allowed him to lie under oath and put the weight of law that it's okay if you lie under oath. If you're for the government, want to keep us in power, you can lie under oath. The court system is set up to where if you're lying for the government, you can lie under oath. That's okay. It's not a crime. It is a crime, but we won't enforce that. We'll let people lie. We will let people lie for us, and we won't sanction them. In fact, if it's not a good enough lie, we'll even add to that lie and put facts on it ourselves, and they're privileged. You can't arrest a judge for lying under oath or writing a false judicial ruling. They privilege their crimes. They're privileged, completely privileged. A judge can do pretty much whatever he wants to in his court. He can write whatever lie he wants to, and it appears legitimate, but there's no consequence to it. The only consequence to it is him being overturned in a higher court, but they won't do that. And the only other consequence is through the Board of Judicial Conduct. But if you go through the Board of Judicial Conduct, they'll back up the dirty judge and sanction you for complaining. So the Board of Judicial Conduct, their complaint process is set up not to find judges that need correcting or that need the law enforced on them. Their Board of Judicial Conduct complaint process is set up to find out who's going against the system, who's going against the corruption, to know who you are so they can sanction you. I literally complained on a judge for putting somebody in jail wrongly, and they used that to deny me my law license. So they said, here's who it is, complain on our judge, and we don't care if you put somebody in jail illegitimately. That's not what we're concerned about. We're concerned about Charles Van Morgan legitimately through our procedure complaining on him, and that's what the procedure is set up for. It's not set up to get rid of dirty judges, because as long as a dirty judge backs him up, he's just fine. The only time they'll hang out a judge if he starts going against the governor or starts going against people in power. That's your criminal justice system in the state of Tennessee right now, and it is pretty corrupt, and we need to do something about it, and really quickly. A lot of these people in power, the governor should be impeached. The governor should be impeached. So we've got we've got a Vietnam veteran that served in Vietnam that has got a scar on his side from where he got hit by enemy fire that hit a building that he was in. He was the last one out. The building's falling over. So indirectly, still the same. Enemy fire caused the building to fall over, and he was getting out of the building, letting other people go first. He was one of the last ones out and got cut as he's going out of the building by a door that the enemy fire knocked over the building. Has yet to get his honors for being in Vietnam. And we've got a system of people in the United States of America that talk a lot of talk about how they appreciate military people, but nobody's even looked into that situation with Larry Bledsoe. And we've got situation. That's a perception thing. I think that no military person that got injured in Vietnam should be walking around without their Purple Heart, without their medal that they got hurt in combat. And then and nobody's looking into that. Nobody cares. They claim they do. And then they have a major that lies about military service that was promoted after lying. If you think power and the government is legitimate and acting on your behalf, there ought to be a public outcry about both of those. One of them is put a liar in jail for being a major and a liar and dangerous to herself and others, and another one is public outcry over Larry Bledsoe deserving a medal that's never got one. And we have a state representative, and I've contacted him about this, that's more concerned about UFOs than he is about people that provide provide a federal government house where he can go on his baloney and look into stupid stuff that makes no difference and idolize UFOs. He should have spent his time on Capitol Hill talking about making sure veterans get their awards and doing something damn well about it. Mr. Marshall spent time with the president getting signatures for his wife instead of mentioning a military veteran that made sure that the White House didn't get blown off the planet because of military people that sacrificed. Now, that's how sick of a government we got, how messed up things are. And it's both parties, Democrats and Republicans both. There should be public outcry. Larry Bledsoe ought to get his military honors. Stacey Heatherly and their entourage ought to go to jail. Now, that's what I think. They buy the picture of crime. They tell you what it is and what it ain't. I'll tell you what it is. It's the people in power are the criminals, and the rogue people that need to be taken out of power by voting. So let's look at this. Anybody, and they control power by using our bullets and our weapons to use on us, and lie about stuff under oath. So and it's a rigged system. It's a rigged, dirty system that we need to vote these people out of office. Let's see if I got any comments. We'll read some of the comments, and thank y'all for coming on board. Like, share, and comment. Hope you're getting used to the new hours. There's heavy fog in middle Tennessee, so if you're in middle Tennessee, watch out for the heavy fog. Scanned by New York Coastal, also learned some history. And why is he so upset? What happened to him? Upset they can't railroad you any longer. I voted, yeah, okay. Freudian psychology has all answers, kids. I like he's a troubled child. Yeah, thank you. His mother was very influential, and there was 15 comments. Henley Street Bridge, love the view of the gold ball. Doesn't matter how long I live here, I never get tired of seeing it. That's right. Let me show the gold ball. There we go. So yeah, let's see. There it is. There's the gold ball. So let's see here. I'll donate 50. Okay, yeah, sure you will. I'll donate 500. Go ahead. Burchett is honest like him or not? Well, he's probably the best of the worst, but I don't think he's he knows about a military veteran supposed to get his military honors, and he hasn't done anything about that. So so I'm not so sure he's honest. So let's do Power to You, the People movement. Talk about talk about what we need to do to contest all this crime by people in government power and get in power ourselves. So vote. Voters of Tennessee enraged, and there's an election coming up Tuesday. As many of you know, I have publicly said that I think Becky Jones ought to win the election because she has a lot of conservative values, and she's against the tax for opening up the Gay Street Bridge. So I would encourage everyone to go vote for Becky Jones. She's got a lot of room to make up. She only got 330 votes, and the Democrat candidate got about 900. So it's a long shot. There's a lot of fooled people in this city, and a lot of bought people, and they buy elections. They have a proxy of voters that they do favors for. They have a huge number of voters that they do favors for, give government privileges to, and then those people that they do favors for are their advertisements. They go tell other people the government's honest and they're great, fair people, and go vote for these people, and they go tell other people they lie for these people in power because they're getting money, they're getting benefits, they're getting privileges, they're a proxy. And then they spread the word, and that's how these people in power get elected, by proxies, by having the government and then getting other people to give them benefits, and they go spread the word because they got an interest in it, and they've got a certain amount of those that they know. They go to the polls all the time. They do benefits for. And if you're like me, you got a hole to get out of because they demoralize and they lie and they criticize when I'm better for public safety than anybody. And they've got me so much in a hole that, I mean, unbelievable. But I'm not shutting up. I'm not quitting. We got almost 1 million people listening. I have a Master of Arts in criminology, Doctor of Jurisprudence. I have a education in public safety and in emergency management. I know how to protect Knoxvillians. I was the best qualified, even they admit that, in a little slide of the hand, he's better educated. And even from a great University of Tennessee. And I got less votes than anybody that ran for city council in any district. And you think, oh man, that demoralized. No, it doesn't. It really don't. That shows you how damaging I am to their little status quo, to their little criminal game, to their lies, because they have went out on a limb to discredit me and lied about me and said horrific, horrible stuff about me that's not true. And you think if they're really putting somebody down, why are they doing that for? Because what I got to say is against them and their proxy that they already got in place. So I'm not demoralized at all because there's more other people than what control the government. There's a lot of people that don't control the government that are eligible to vote and can vote, and those are the people I'm trying to talk to. Of course, they're a little proxy of enough votes to get them elected if people don't wake up, or enough to not get me many votes. I did get 59 votes in a district that got about maybe less than 1,500. So you get a small percentage of people that weren't fooled, but they spread the message of defaming me because they know if I get in power, I'll be a real threat to what they're doing to you all, how they're framing things. So they spend a lot of time and effort running me down, and the news shows. There's one guy that did an interview with me, and he talked to me for about an hour. I spent a lot of time with him, and telling him pretty much the same things I'm telling you. And he called me bitter and a lot of false stuff. But if you look at his news show, and I'm not even going to mention his name, I'm not going to give him any credibility. I'm not giving him my platform. That's got almost 1 million views. I mean, if you think I'm stupid, idiot, then. But his platform, I looked at his videos. His latest videos, one of them last week got 15 views. One of them before that got about 20 or 30. Another one about 15. The last 3 or 4 videos. Less than 50 views on his videos. Runs me down. And my last video got 26,000. And another one 43,000, 33,000. So there's a lot of people, a hell of a lot of people. Almost, I've got 900,000 viewers. We've exceeded that today. So there's a lot of people listening to what I've got to say and listen to an education and believe that it does matter, that I'm not in the establishment, that I'm not backing up the establishment. I'm backing up you, the populace. I'm backing up the people in the state of Tennessee. I'm backing up the people in the United States of America. I'm not on the side of the criminaloids. They're criminaloids. They're people in power that use their position to put crime on you and call what they're doing that's dangerous not a crime. And I've explained that to you in numerous ways, numerous times. Think about what they're telling you and think about the opposite of who benefits from that. And is it the opposite of what they're trying to say, which it normally, usually, very much so is. They had a person, this is how bad they're trying to demoralize me, which is exciting to me. If they're working that hard against me, and they're working very hard against me. I was the best qualified on the ballot. By far, nobody even close. Nobody nowhere near what I had to offer for Knoxvillians. What I was willing to give away for $24,000 a year to help Knoxville. To try to build, and I built, even though I didn't get that office, we're still building. They haven't stopped me. I don't quit. That's part of winning. You don't quit when things don't look good. You go on what you know instead of what they're telling you. And they want to say, we'll demoralize him by making him win so bad. They had a person on the ballot that was a criminal that fled from law enforcement, ran like the man that killed himself running from me, and he got more votes than me. A criminal, a felony, a fleeing felon, a coward that wouldn't own up to his crimes, wouldn't face the music. When they charged me with a crime, I didn't resist arrest. I went to court like I was supposed to and fought it and won in court. But they had a man running for city council in Knoxville in another district that got more votes than me, a lot more votes than me, that was a fleeing felon at one time. There was a fleeing felon. That's how demoralizing they have tried to do me. Why didn't they demoralize him that bad? They kind of justified that, like, oh, that was just a big joke to run from law enforcement. It's not a joke to run from law enforcement. You're a dirty coward. Don't run from law enforcement. Fight them in a courtroom. Don't fight them on the street. Don't run from them. Don't endanger the public flying down the road at a high rate of speed, trying to elude a ticket or arrest. Don't do that. That's not right. That is wrong. That is dangerous to other people. I mean, if you're going to do that, get on your feet and run, where you're not as dangerous to people. But so a person that eluded law enforcement, that got convicted of fleeing, a felon, got more votes than Charles Van Morgan. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing how that works out for him? That's how bad they tried to demoralize me. And they did. To a lot of people in Knoxville, ran me down saying I did stuff that I didn't do because they don't want me to be in power. They don't want me to win an elective office to be able to make things in your favor, just like I did when I was a Tennessee State Trooper, just like I did when I was a law enforcement officer at the University of Tennessee. When they thought I wasn't a threat to their illegitimacy, to their crooks and crimes. But I did get 59 votes, and we're not talking about where it was important to get hundreds of votes. I mean, there was only about 1,500 in the whole district. And when I ran for governor, I got 105 votes in Knoxville. There was a white supremacy white supremacist. This is how bad they're going after me. They didn't go after the white supremacist. They don't care because they don't think he'll win. They think if he does, he won't go against them. But a white supremacist, somebody that put up a sign, make Tennessee white again, which I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. God loves everybody. It don't matter green, it don't matter what color you are. God loves everybody. He loves Jews. He loves everybody. But a man that was a white supremacist got 1 vote less than me in Knoxville. I got 105 votes. He got 104. But if you spread it across the district, this time I got more votes than I did when I ran for governor. So we have moved the ball a few inches towards the first down. We've moved the ball. And running for office got me on television where I was allowed to look at my Channel 10 interview. That's the first thing I said because it was live. I didn't want them to suppress my speech. But the first thing I said was, what we're fighting is people in power corruption. I set the stage. That's what we're after. That's what I'm after. And anything that can advance that agenda, the social movement of power to you, the people, voters of Tennessee Enraged, advancing that movement. Now, we might not win the whole ball of wax in a day, but we're advancing the movement, making it more difficult for the government to put you in jail for no reason, make it more difficult for them to commit crimes against you and get by with it. We're spreading the message with a megaphone. There's almost 1 million people heard this. This is for a reason, a point. So I didn't win the office, but since I ran, this channel's blown up to almost 1 million people. So, and that was part of the plan, to run for office, to advance the ball toward your end zone, to facilitate what you want to do, to stop this facade, these chameleons of people in government power that you're serving to benefit them at your expense. I mean, at a time when food stamps are cut out, help for children and older people and handicapped, and a safety net, they're trying to raise taxes and justifying that. There's no justification for them raising taxes in a time right now when the people have trouble eating. I mean, that's amazing that they're trying to do that even. So yeah, we got a bunch of people on here. Thank y'all so very much for joining the show. So we ran for public office, and I only got 59 votes. Somebody that is a criminal, I've never been convicted of any crime. They run me down like I have, try to paint a heinous picture of me. None of it's true. Crime is a social construct set up by people in power to tell you what is wrong, to keep them in power, to control the dialogue, and to punish you if you get out of line. And that's exactly what they're trying to do to me, but I'm not listening very well because I don't care what they say. And what they say we can use against them. And I got 59 votes. That's more votes than I ran for governor. So I'm advancing the social movement. And that's one of the objectives of power to you, the people. A vote is to advance the movement, get more public attention. And I knew running for office, I knocked on hundreds of doors in Tennessee, in Knoxville, probably about 6,000 or 7,000 doors I knocked on personally in Knoxville. Every door that I could knock on in South Knoxville legally, I knocked on in South Knoxville. So many of you know me and have met me, and I got 59 of you to go along with me. The other ones that didn't vote for me, you passed up somebody that knows about public safety, knows about how crooked they are, that could have helped you. And I would encourage you to jump on the bandwagon and don't drink the Kool-Aid, and listen to what I'm trying to tell you for your own benefit. Because what they're doing is what benefits them and takes away from you. So we got more votes this time than we did the last time. We may run for public office again. It gets the word out about voters of Tennessee Enraged, voters of Truth Enraged, and advances the cause where there's a tipping point. eventually people are going to say, well, they're not doing us right. Things ain't going good under them. Maybe we should start listening to vote and go vote. And so there's a tipping point. When somebody that runs from police gets more votes than you, there's some people in government power that hate you pretty damn bad. And that's all right. Keep on hating. Take a number and wait in a long line. There's a bunch of you sick people, a whole bunch of you. It's because I'm calling you sick and talking about your dirty crimes. So just go on. A lot of them are watching right now. It's kind of funny to me. If I didn't like what somebody was saying, if they was talking bad about me, I wouldn't listen to them. But they want to make sure, see what I'm saying, so they can try to prosecute me later. But I'm not saying anything illegal. I'm saying go vote and point out their illegal activity. So let's conceptualize a social movement. And thank y'all for coming. So we got a few people in here. Like, share, comment, donate if you can. And this is what we're trying to do. There are many definitions of a social movement: collective or joint action, change-oriented goals, some degree of organization, some degree of temporal community, some extra institutional collective action, or at least a mixture of institutional protesting in the streets and institutional political lobbying activity. Blending these elements together, we can define a social movement as a collective acting with some degree of organization and continuing outside of institutional channels for the purpose of promoting or resisting change in the group, society, or world order of which it is part. To clarify this conception of social movements, we turn, and we'll do that later, elaboration of the various components. So a social movement, which is what I'm trying to get together, vote, is collective or joint action. So join the movement. 2 people, and I've already got more than 2. We got 59 in Knoxville. We're advancing the ball. Moved it a few yards. It'll come to a point where it'll tip the scale. And we have change-oriented goals. We are against the existing social order. We're against the people in power that have their boot on your neck, that call you a criminal when they're committing the crimes. We object to the judges, the dirty judges that rule for the governor and stomp on the Constitution. That's sick. Some degree of organization. So that bell is beautiful, beautiful noise. So some degree of organization. We have an organization. It's everybody's free to do what you want to do. And I implore people, if they take me off YouTube, I'll be on Telegram, or I'll be on Facebook, or I'll be on X. Just type the brand that you need to remember is Charles Van Morgan. And I'll be on another social media channel. They won't shut down the movement by shutting down YouTube. And I hope they don't. I don't violate any of their policies. I say go vote. And so we have a degree of organization. What I would ask people to do is to spread gossip. Gossip's not a bad thing. Gossip is truthful information. Information you have about other people based on the truth. And spread it. Spread the gossip of people in power, how dirty they are, how the Highway Patrol has got people stealing valor, people arresting sober people, and the colonel being promoted to colonel not based on having any kind of education in public safety and emergency management, because his family being in a former Supreme Court justice, and promotions being dealt out not by hard work and dedication, but by who's your daddy. You look at the people in power, you can generally look at who their last name and find out they had a former captain, former lieutenant that is over them, that was before them, so they're passing out to their little clique, their little family, their little inbred organization. So spread the gossip about people in power. They're not serving you, they're serving themselves and taking your tax money to take care of themselves. And spread the message. But you heard this channel, ask people to like, share, comment, contribute. to vote, voters of Tennessee Enraged, voters of Truth Enraged, and ask people to contribute to it. That's the degree of organization and some degree of temporal community. Let me say something about social degree of organization. I have a, you can hit the icon on my YouTube page that has a anonymous survey you can fill out and tell me anything you want to tell me. Put in there any videos you have about state government misconduct. Put in there any comments or any information that you have. I've had people text me about stuff, which I appreciate. Any information that you can have that we can point out to people how illegitimate, that we can get evidence. We want evidence. We're convicting people in state government. We're trying to do through extra institutional means to convict people in state government. If you have evidence that I'm not privy to, send it to me. I'll put it out. You ain't got to put it out. I won't even put your name on it. I've had people do that before. That's how I found out about other stuff in the state government that they got going on that I put out on videos, anonymous complaints to me. I won't hang you out. I promise I won't. I will put out information. If you got news that I need to know about, I'll go to the scene and put it out. So the degree of organization, put any information you have, click that survey, put it on there, and even if you want to tell me you're with me, that's fine. You can also contribute on that icon and spread the message to your family and friends that there's more of us than you. If we can wake up 28% without even flipping some of their votes of the vote out there, then we could win the governor's office if I run, or if I suggest to you somebody to vote for that's going to back up vote power to you, the people movement. And there may be somebody, if they say we get enough people, we got 1 million already on YouTube worldwide. Thank you all over the world, Canada, UK, all over the world. Thank you all for watching. And you can get something like this together in your country. So some degree of temple community. You know, I've been doing this since about 2019, since they turned me down for my law license, because I see how I should be an attorney representing you in court. So they won't let me do that. So I'll represent you on the street. I'll prosecute them, and you be the jury. So I've been doing this years. I've knocked on, in the past 5 years, when I ran for office, I've knocked on probably 50,000 doors across the United States. It's no fluke that I have so much media attention. I'm not representative that gets on TikTok and says a bunch of stupid stuff, trying to be a TV star. I've done the hard work and laid the groundwork. And thank you all so very much from the bottom of my heart. And I assure you, I'm not like them. I'm on your side. Past history is a very high predictor of future conduct. I lowered the fatality rate in the state of Tennessee. Their conduct was lying on me and framing the definition of a civil offense, which wasn't there when they committed crimes in doing that. So we've been doing this a long time. We're not going away. We need funding, or we might have to. So fund the organization. If it's nothing more than liking or sharing, that helps get the word out. If you can give money, I'll sell you my book, The Trooper Van Morgan Story, A Fight to Save Lives and Correct the Record. $149, it'll help the movement. I will come to your organization and speak, your church or whatever. Send me an email, charlesvanmorgan@gmail.com. Tell me you can't tell me what to say. I'll say what needs to be said. But if you're church, I'll be glad to give a testimony. I'm a Christian. If you want me to speak at your bar, I'll be glad. I can be pretty humorous and get people's attention. My objective is to get people a member of voters of Truth Enraged, to get people to go to the polls, and I'll recommend who you vote for. And that's what I'm about. So if you want me to speak at your bar or whatever for a small fee, pay me to get there and a little bit for the movement, I'll be glad to speak. So I'm available, open to come and speak to whoever you want to. And, well educated, and I'm not shy, and we'll light up the place and get you some business. And I'll even tell you where I'm going on my YouTube page. It's had almost 1 million followers in the past few days. We'll get you some business there. So if you want me to speak, a small fee, and I'll put it out on YouTube, and we'll go there and we'll talk. and say nothing illegal. We'll say some stuff people will want to hear. If you got a topic you want me to talk about, you put that when you email me, charlesvanmorgan@gmail.com, and we might talk about it. But I'm not going to be controlled by people. So some degree of temple community, we've been doing this a long time, getting better at it, getting a little better every day. 2 or 3 more people every day is, hey, that's all it takes. We're fighting away. Some extra institutional collective action. Hey, we don't go along with our program. We're not going along with how they're doing. You know, we got to abide by the law. We can't hurt people or do anything illegal, but we don't have to agree with them. We don't have to go along with them. That's why they're making it difficult for me, and real law violence, real law breakers are getting by. They're demoralizing me worse than criminals. Wow, isn't that amazing how dangerous I am to me? It's really kind of makes me feel important that they hate me that bad. But institutional activity is speaking engagements, is selling my book, is showing up at their crooked judges promotions, is my survey on YouTube that you can send me information. I appreciate it. It will be used. I've got a lot of good information behind the scenes that I know about. There's more to this than what they know that we're not putting out on Facebook, on YouTube, worldwide. We're on the move. We need resources, institutional collective action, at least a mixture. We are also using institutional means, running for office, going through their procedures, getting on the ballot, knocking on doors, following the law, doing what we're supposed to do, and we're using institutional means. I may run again. I might get on the governor's ballot. I don't know. And run again, knock on some more doors. We're going to get the word out about how crooked they are. It's getting out. We got every right to say it. It's America. They say what they're going to say in their rogue, privileged judicial rulings. You know, defamation is unprivileged false communication disseminated to at least a third person that tends to lower somebody in the standing of the community. I got a doctor of jurisprudence, passed the bar exam twice. I know the law. They are privileged, unprivileged. So a court ruling is privileged. Stuff that's done in court is privileged. So they put out defamation that's privileged and hold us to a different standard. So yeah, and I'm going against that. And we're using institutional means. Also, in addition to our other repertoire of collective action, we got some stuff that they never thought of. That's nothing illegal, nothing harmful. I don't want to hurt anybody. They'd like to hurt me. They'd like to kill me. My life's in danger for doing this. Take that into account when you get your pocketbook out. If you want somebody fighting for you, then let me fight for you and fund the fight. It takes money to travel across the state to protect myself against government power. And these people in government power are dirty as hell. They lie. They've already arrested me. I was out running for government office, trying to make things better for you, asking people to vote me peacefully, lawfully, at the polls in Chattanooga. When they knocked me down and beat on me, hurt me. I was in my late 50s then. I'm older than that now, and hurt me. I had to go to the hospital. I hurt for days for running for public office, speaking out against people in government power, not breaking any laws, not doing anything illegal. They literally hurt me, trying to speak out and protect society. That's what these people in government power did to me. Now they covered up, tried to say I committed a crime. Do you see any video evidence of me committing a crime? No, it's because they lied. Hello. They lie, and they hurt me. And what I'm doing is dangerous. Consider that. that I've been subject to government violence. I'm actually proud of that. Didn't like it at the time. It hurt me pretty bad. I was in the hospital hurt from the government, but for saying vote for me, run for office. Now they lie, said I did stuff I didn't do. I didn't do any of the stuff they said I did. What I did is say people in government power need to be voted out. We need to set up a special prosecutor's office to prosecute some of these people in government office that have committed crimes against humanity, and vote for me, vote me in office. That's what I did. That's what I'm allowed to do. What they did was wrong. So, and we can blend these elements and vote. Get vote on the way. It's already on the way. It's going. And we need resources to continue the movement. And to make it stick, make it count. So that's how movements succeed, by staying with it and having means and power to get the message out. Remember, voting day here in Knoxville is Tuesday, and we'll show you the sun spear. Beautiful sun spear. So voting is Tuesday here in Knoxville. Go vote. I'm endorsing Becky Jones, and she might have been part of the behind my back running me down, but it's not about me. It's really not. I'm standing up for you, and it'll be really bad if she doesn't win, because of the policies that the other candidate's going to put forward. That bridge is going to stay closed, and she has a lot of values that are for you. I would have been better, I'll just tell you that. But the hole they put me in, and maybe part of her campaign too, I don't know. But I do know that it's not about me. It's about the public and the people in Knoxville. So I would urge you to vote for Becky Jones Tuesday at the polls, and flip this thing around. Now, probably not going to win. Probably not. Way behind. So if you want to have her any chance of winning before things get really horrifically bad, you'll go to the polls and vote. Otherwise, it's going to get bad. Likely to get a tax increase, and likely to get more roads closed and more harmful conditions for you. So go vote for Becky Jones, and we'll run another race. We'll win another race. What wasn't our time? We got a ditch to get out of, and I'm getting out of it. I'm digging. I'm fighting. I'll fight like hell. I'm not going anywhere. And like Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. And I know I'm right because I think I can, and I think we can. So let's look at the beautiful bridge over here. And that's what the election is about. It's about that bridge, and about higher taxes, and about government control. And so let's read some of the comments. We still got a lot of people on here. Study history, Charlie. Resistance is futile. No, it's not. The most truthful thing you said in your mindless ranting is, I don't know. Okay. Thank you for the comment. And they can't figure it out. I think y'all can support law and other candidates. Support law and order. That's right. How many? Yeah. Let's see, I'm 73. I would like to know this guy's secret. Where does he get all his energy to be on here every day? Thank you. It's, anti-corruption is a main theme, I think. That's right. So your focus is on getting people to vote. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, it is. My first encounter with you. You threaten people's lives. No, I don't. If laws are followed, one gets put away. You carried out unlawful orders. No, I didn't. You got a degree in stupid. No, I got a degree from the University of Tennessee. Laws that should be followed is what you saying. You lock people up for looking at you funny. I have some gossip about you. Go ahead. Go ahead. If it's bad, wait in line. You don't have no truthful bad stuff about me. If you got gossip about me that's truth, go ahead with it. He said spread the gospel. That's right, I did. The bell is actually corrupt people. You are an ex-cop who stole from people living check to check because they were in a hurry to get to work. No, I wasn't. My focus was on intoxicated drivers so that you wouldn't have a wreck getting to work. That's what my focus was on. And cops ain't bad. The system is bad. Cops are good people. Who would choose to protect criminals in offices of Tennessee? People in office, because they're the criminals. People in office are criminals. It says here, they about to find out when this new power takes order. Good luck, everyone. God is the only way out. That's right. Our lives are not retirement hobby. I don't know what that means. So you're cruel. Y'all cruel. Yeah, there's some of them in here that are. Some of these people in here that are. You are one of them. No, I'm not. I'm not in government. I'm not in government. I went to their schools. Is that vodka? Governor, Grandpa. So, what's the... Okay. So here we go. I appreciate y'all watching the show. Probably be back on here tomorrow. And the main thing, resource mobilization. We got to have the funds to get things done. And we'll put out videos, put boots on the ground at different locations. And we're not afraid. Unbridled. It's Charles Van Morgan Show. Unbridled news. We're not controlled by you or anybody. We're not controlled by false public opinion. We're controlled by the opinion that will protect the public, that will protect you. And I didn't lose anything in the elections. I got to meet a lot of great, nice Tennesseans. And I certainly appreciate you all. And I thought about that last night, about all the campaigns I've been on, all the doors I've knocked on. And I was privileged to meet every one of y'all. Thank you all so very much. It was great. The highlight of my life is, well, my family personally, and the other highlight of my life was running for office and getting to meet nice, great Tennesseans. Y'all are wonderful people. I love people. I met a lot of y'all, and I appreciate it. A lot of y'all welcomed me into your homes, and a lot of y'all met me at the door, and we talked, and I certainly appreciate that, and I had a wonderful time. I didn't lose anything. I met a lot of great people, and if you meet a lot of people like I have, you understand why God's holy word says, for God so loved the world. It ain't talking about the planet. God loves people, and if you meet a lot of people, you'll understand why God loves humanity. I mean, I met a lot of people. So I didn't lose anything. I may run again. I enjoyed meeting people. I enjoyed meeting every one of y'all. Hopefully, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, we can convince enough of you to get off the couch, they're lying to you, and go vote. And I hope we can. I pray that we can. And we'll keep putting out the truth, and they can keep lying. And how bad do things have to get? They're pretty bad right now. The food stamp program is shut down. Little children, older people, handicapped people have gotten their food stamps shut off, which is wrong, so very wrong. It's corrupt, it's crooked, and I pray for those people right now that are going hungry without food. And if you think people aren't going hungry because of that, then you're wrong. You're lying to yourself. And that's not right. Our government is not working. It's not working for us. It's working for them. The people in power are eating just fine right now. They're not going hungry, and they don't care, because if they did, this kind of stuff wouldn't happen. So I implore you to join voters of truth and rage all over the world. Listen to the show, I'll tell you the truth. From an unbridled perspective, untamed, uncontrolled by anybody in power. And join vote. If you can't do anything else, hit the like button, do that. Subscribe, spread the word, gossip, tell people, vote. Charles Van Morgan, vote. And we'll be back on here, we're not giving up. Fund the movement and vote. I'm Charles Van Morgan. Delighted that I met you all. We'll meet some more in the past. Don't know if I'll run for governor or not. You can still contribute. When I announce that I'm running, I'll have to start filling out campaign finance reports and letting them know where your money, who gave it to me, that you gave it to me, and where it's going, all that stuff. So I'm not going to do that until I have to at the last minute. And you can send donations right now, and I'm not saying they'll be used for me to run for governor, but they won't have to know anything about it except for income tax. So we're not going to announce until it's too late, till it's too late for them to know what you've already given me. And I may not run, so I'm not promising you I'll run. You're supporting voters of Tennessee enraged and encouraged. And we're broadcasting worldwide, and celebrate with me. 900,000 people watching the past few days. We're getting the message out. We're clobbering them. We're throwing the rock at their head symbolically. And today we covered crime is a social construct. They shape the definition of crime. So it's not what you think. We're going to reshape it where it protects you. Crime should be what protects the public, not what keeps these crooks in power, which is what it does now. So thank you all so very much. God bless you all, I pray. God loves you, and I do too.